It's the first Monday of spring 2026, and my day started with something a lot of authors and content creators are wrestling with right now, and that is to use AI or not to use AI. I saw a post the other day where someone said, if AI is used, it must be disclosed. And I replied, maybe a little too sarcastically, so if I use a ballpoint pen instead of a goose quill and an ink pot, I'm supposed to disclose that? Because that's what it is to me, a tool. I can drive a screw with a screwdriver, or I can use a power drill and do it in half the time with half the effort. Does the shelf work any better or worse? No, it just got there more efficiently. Now, yes, there are people who are using AI to generate entire pieces of work, and that is a different conversation. That's not what I'm doing. I've lived the experiences that I write about, such as fog on the river, the moment where your senses narrow down to almost nothing. That's my experience. What I use tools, including AI, for is to help translate that experience so someone who's never been there can actually feel it. Because most people have never stood in that kind of fog before. They've never had to listen for movement when they can't see 10 feet in front of them. So sometimes I have to bridge that gap, and that's where tools help. But here's the line for me. If I've lived it, it stays. If it's added to sound good, I question it. AI helps me translate. It doesn't replace my experience, and that's a line I'm not crossing. I also see people saying AI is stealing their work and taking it from writers and giving it to other writers so they can claim it as their own. And I understand that concern, but I can't help thinking back to school days, reading comparative literature, breaking down works like Citizen Kane, studying visual motifs, learning how meaning is built. That's how we learn. We study what came before us. We absorb voice, structure, rhythm, metaphor. Writers have always done that. Artists have always done that. Where would we be today if Leonardo da Vinci hadn't built on the discoveries of Galileo and Ptolemy? Knowledge moves forward because we learn from each other. That's not theft. That's how creation works. But here's the difference, the line that matters. Learning from what exists is not the same as replacing your own voice. I'm not asking AI to tell my story. I'm using tools to help me shape and translate experiences I've already lived. There's a difference between building on knowledge and handing over authorship. And I'm not handing mine over. My writing comes from my own survival, imagination, learned wisdom, and lived experiences. I'm not writing memoir, so I have to shape those experiences in a way that someone else can step into them without being overwhelmed by them. That's where tools come in. I use AI, Finn, to help me tame the language of those moments so emotions come through without losing the reader. Because how do I explain the kind of fog that socks in on a river where everything beyond a few feet is gone? You're standing on a deck getting soaked, forced to rely on what you can hear instead of what you can see, without losing the person I'm trying to take along. How do I describe that? I need a little help. AI is here, and it's not going anywhere. We can learn to work with it or ignore it. I've actually seen this before when computers first came into everyday use. People thought they'd take over everything, They didn't. We learned how to use them, and now we use them every day. Even Finn, my AI assistant, put it this way: AI can help shape the words, but it can't supply the life behind them. Quote, unquote. That's from AI. And I've been in that fog. AI didn't take me there. It just helps bring you with me.